Welcome, you're listening to Wi-Fi, where we don't just connect what we know, but marvel at who made it all. I'm Keith Whitley, and today we are going to talk about watermelons. Once upon a summer afternoon, somewhere between the garden hose and the back porch, there sits a green striped mystery that children understand long before adults do. They know it means sweetness. Grown-ups think it means seed counts and sugar content. Farmers know it means timing. We call it a watermelon. At first glance, it seems simple enough. A heavy green globe, stretched a little into an oval, resting on the soil like it has nothing better to do than be kicked, carried, or carved. But inside that ordinary shell is a tiny lesson book in how God hides his wisdom in everyday things if somebody will just pick them up. And look closer. Most folks first learn about watermelons from the outside in. We see the rind, the stripes, maybe the size. We guess at the sweetness, but the field has its own language, and the watermelon speaks it fluently. It gives signs, quiet, consistent clues that tell you whether it's ready, whether it's ripe, whether it has finished what it was sent into the world to do. The first sign hardly looks like a sign at all. It's the bottom. The side that rests on the soil doesn't stay the same color as the rest of the rind. When that patch is pale or whitish, the fruit is still growing, still drinking in sunlight through leaves and vines, still building its sweetness. But when that belly turns a rich, creamy yellow, the watermelon is all but preaching a sermon. The work is done. The time is full. You can cut me open now. The ground side carries the quiet testimony of time days of sun and night and water written in color. A child might just call it a yellow spot. A grower knows it is the fruit's way of saying, I'm ready. Then there are the bee marks. If you look closely at some watermelons, you'll find small, scar-like spots or faint, roughened patches on the rind, places where insects have paid their respects. Bees and other pollinators visited the flower before the fruit ever appeared, performing their simple task without a degree in botany, obeying a pattern they never wrote. That visit, that contact, helped set the fruit. Later, when the small striped orb swelled into full size, those marks remained, faint signatures of the tiny workers that helped begin it all. To the untrained eye, they're blemishes. To the watchful eye, they're reminders that the sweetness inside this melon did not spring from nowhere. It's the product of cooperation between vine, bee, sun, soil, and the one who thought to give each its role. A third sign is harder to explain in a chart, but easy to sense in the hand. Symmetry. Hold a ready watermelon and turn it slowly. You'll notice a balance. The oval shape is even, not lopsided, not bulging strangely to one side. The stripes curve around it in orderly fashion, like lines on a globe. A well-shaped melon suggests that throughout its growth, the vine fed it evenly. No side starved, no side bloated. Everything about it whispers proportion. There is a kind of humility in that symmetry. Nothing showy, no dramatic twist, just quiet order. In a world that seems to tilt and bulge with extremes, it is oddly satisfying to see a fruit that simply decided to grow. Well, the fourth sign is the stem. Now, a child may tug at it and pay no attention to its color, but the gardener watches for brown. While the melon is still drawing life from the vine, the stem stays green and pliable, a tiny pipeline carrying the last sweetness home. But when the stem turns dry and brown, it is the plant's way of saying, I've sent all I have. The fruit has everything it needs. The connection that once fed it now steps back, and the melon, in its fullness, is ready to be parted from the vine. That dried stem, fragile and brown, is not a sign of death, it is a sign of completion. There is another sign hidden in sound. If you've ever seen an old farmer in the patch, you may have watched him thump a melon with his knuckles, then smile or shake his head. To the untrained ear, it's all the same, a hollow thud. But to the practiced ear, the pitch is different. An unripe melon answers with a sharper, higher report. A ripe one, full and settled, responds with a lower, deeper tone, as if the interior has relaxed into its final form. Sound betrays what the eye cannot see. Inside the rind, something is finished. The fruit has found its voice, and even a simple tap can coax it to speak. A sixth sign hides in the skin itself. Run your fingers over the rind of a ready watermelon, and you may notice that the glossy shine of youth has given way to a more muted, dull finish. The bright, hard sheen of rapid growth softens. The green is still there, the stripes still curve, but the gloss has gone from new to settled. Shoppers often look for shine. Seasoned growers look for that slight dullness, that suggestion that the fruit is no longer racing toward maturity. It has arrived and is waiting patiently. Like a face that has traded the sharp glare of adolescence for the quieter glow of adulthood, the rind tells of growth completed. And then, though we rarely count it as a sign because we're too busy eating it, there is the final witness, the interior. Cut into a ripe watermelon, and beneath that tough, protective rind, the world turns suddenly red and black and white. Red flesh, glistening with juice. Black seeds, neatly spaced like punctuation marks. Pale veins, tracing paths of nourishment that once flowed from vine to heart. Each slice tells a small story. Sugar arranged in cells of translucent crimson, water held in delicate walls that burst at the first bite, seeds carrying the promise of generations you will never meet. The pattern is astonishingly consistent. You may choose a melon by bottom or stem or sound, but once you open it, the inside reveals a design that is both familiar and endlessly pleasing, like seeing the same song played on 100 different instruments. It is, in a way, the fruit's testimony that every external sign was telling the truth. 7 signs: a yellow bottom, bee marks, symmetry, a brown stem, a certain sound, a softened shine, and a patterned heart of flesh and seed. None of them are flashy. None of them shout. All of them are there for anyone who cares enough to look. You could say it's just botany, just plant development and sugar conversion and cell structure. You could say the bee marks are accidents, the symmetry is ordinary, the sound is physics, and the sweetness is chemistry. You would not be wrong, but you might be incomplete, because somewhere in the middle of bottom patches and bee scars, brown stems and deep thumps, there is a quiet suggestion that the world has been laid out not only to feed us, but to teach us. To tell us that fullness takes time, that beauty hides in balance, that some of the most important work in our lives is done by helpers we never notice, that the sweetest things are often signaled by small, faithful clues long before we ever taste them. You can slice the watermelon, serve it on paper plates, and call it lunch. Or you can pause just once and see in that striped, heavy globe a little parable from a generous creator, a lesson wrapped in rind and written in color, shape, sound, and seed. And now, the next time you thump a watermelon in the produce aisle, you'll know that you're not only testing a fruit, you're listening just a little to God's creative voice. That's today's signal on Wi-Fi, a world blazing with wonder, written by the hand of a creator connecting all things. And never forget, as we explore the how through science, let faith keep reminding us why. I'm Keith Whitley, and now you know the truth.